It isn't easy at all. You really have to take responsibility. The onus is on you to really almost build this stuff for yourself. Like you said, Peter, here in the UK since April 2012, people have been automatically enrolled into pension schemes if they are employed and fit certain criteria. So if you are a business owner, yes, the onus is on you to build your own.
Hello and welcome to the Woke Finance Podcast, the podcast discussing all things finance and all things finance related. It's your boy Peter, and I'm with my bro, my co-host Jax. How are you today?
Yes, Peter, I am doing very well. This morning, before we started shooting, I have started doing my garden, getting rid of the weeds, getting it prepared for some barbecues. Because here in the UK, the sun is shining. It's rare, but it's shining, and it's given us an insight as to the fact that summer is around the corner. So it's exciting times.
It's around the corner. It's around the corner, man. It's coming our way, man. Talking of warm weather, Jax, we're gonna give a very quick shout out to where we're getting listeners from. And this place is actually 35 degrees today, and it's called Ho Chi Minh City, which is in Vietnam.
Oh, fantastic. We seem to have quite an influx of listeners from Asia, and that's fantastic. I always say my wife is someone who's been around all of Asia, and she does mention Vietnam being one of the best places that she has visited. So one day, hopefully, I will get to visit. Welcome to the Work Finance Podcast. You are here with myself, Jax, and the co-host Peter. And on this podcast, we talk about all things finance related. But if you want to know more about what we do, because we do serve in the community, head over to www.wokefinance.co.uk. That's www.wokefinance.co.uk. And make sure you sign up to our mailing list so you're kept up to date with all the amazing things that we are doing. If you want to engage with us on social media as well, we are predominantly on three platforms. That is Instagram, LinkedIn, and also TikTok. If you search for Woke Finance, you will be sure to find us. Welcome to the episode, welcome to the podcast, and I hope you are enjoying and gaining tons of value.
Love it, love it, love it. Massive shout out to our listeners over there and all over the world, man. If you're tuning in right now, we appreciate you. We see you, and yeah, we're just very grateful to your for your ongoing support as well. Now, Jax, for this episode, we're gonna kick off with a bit of a we're gonna have a bit of a dilemma episode today. Now, just for a bit of a context for our listeners, we come into contact with loads of people in different ways, whether it's in person, at events. Me and Jax have been at a few events more recently, just talking about, the need for personal finance education in different formats, mostly young people on behalf of Woke Finance. And then sometimes people come to us in online as well. But one of the conversations that has been brought to our attention, and Jax, I know you in a personal setting, you coach many people, young people, adults as well, and this is something you've definitely heard. But one of the things that we've got across us to discuss here on the episode is, and I'll quote, "I make so much money in my business, but I still feel poor."
Mm.
So I mean, this is a yeah, it's a thing that we hear when people have, Jacks, they've done the brave thing and they've gone out and they've ventured out and they've set up their businesses as well, and they still tell us or others and say, yeah, I make so much money in my business, but I still feel poor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting, Peter. I have come across these type of situations quite regularly. It's quite common for many business owners who can generate a lot of revenue from their business and still feel as if they're not really building any form of wealth for themselves and their family. It is quite common. Yeah, I mean, you hear about the other side of people that are employed. I don't know if you've heard of the Henrys, Peter. Henry, I think it's an acronym for high earner,
Mhm.
not rich yet, or something like that. It's a common phrase here in the UK where people are earning over £100,000 and still not feeling as if they are wealthy. So that's another, I guess that's almost like a parallel identity that some people have, and in terms of how they feel about their finances and how much money they're making. But yeah, I from coming across the business side, I think there are many different reasons why this person is feeling the way they're feeling, and hopefully in this episode we can potentially direct that person towards some potential solutions.
Yeah, let's dive into the Jets. I mean, you just gave an example, the Henrys as well, where someone is earning £100,000 but still feeling poor. I mean, for the average listener, who isn't making that because they're the average listener, just going off stats as well, what we
Yeah,
read, as well. So, they're
yeah.
not earning 100K. So I'm probably thinking, what? How can you be earning 100K and actually still feel poor?
Yeah, because I think there's a difference between the business person and the employee, or the
Mm.
Henry. But I mean, if you very quickly touch on the Henrys, I think of course a big part of why many people that may be earning 100 grand or more still feel poor is something we've spoken about on a podcast before, which is lifestyle creep, or lifestyle inflation, where as you earn more, you start to spend more, and sometimes you do it disproportionately, not understanding that spending compounds. So, just buying a bigger car, it's not just a car that you've paid for. Now you have to pay for more petrol, or taking your child to private school. Doesn't it's not just the fees you pay for tuition, but then you may have to pay for additional extracurricular activities, and even a child now what's probably called skiing for holidays rather than the trip down down to auntie and uncle's house, for example's sake. So
Mm.
in terms of earning a lot of money and still not feeling like you do well, a lot of it is down to lifestyle creep and lifestyle inflation. But also, taxes are a huge thing, and particularly here in the UK, once you start earning more than £100,000, there is a huge tax trap if you don't do your tax planning very correctly. So I understand that from their perspective, but I think this episode, let's focus a bit more the business person.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I guess on that note, Jax, man, this is someone that's they say they see a lot of money coming in and out of their business. And which is interesting because as opposed to someone who's working a 9 to 5, they get regular money depending where you are in the world, every month, and it's almost a fixed amount until you get a pay rise or whatever. But here with a business, it's almost up and down, but over the course of a year, they may see quite a lot of money. Talk to us a bit about that unpredictability. Does that have a role to play in this?
I think so. I do think so. I think it's harder to plan when you don't know the income you're going to generate on a month to month basis. When there is a bit more certainty of income, then it is easier to plan. That I think that goes a bit without saying. But yes, if you are unable to do kind of financial projections or forecasting, in a way that there is a level of certainty, then it is very very difficult. And actually, then the onus is on you to be a bit more detailed with your planning. And unfortunately, not everybody that owns a business spends probably enough time and effort actually managing the kind of the finances in a way where not only are we looking forwards, but sorry, not only are we looking backwards or at the current income, but we're also trying to project forwards as well. The truth of the matter is the exercise is difficult, but it has to be done.
Hmm. What else do you feel in terms of, in your opinion, when you've seen people in general make this claim, that they're turning over, well, they're making quite a lot of money, but they're actually still feeling
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah, I think it's because owning the business is great, generating revenue is great, but actually the main thing that matters is when we talk about wealth, and if the people are talking about not feeling wealthy, wealth is often kind of captured and measured in the value of your assets. And so a lot of the time, if you are generating revenue doesn't always translate into assets. And I think that is probably the key. So anyone that's listening that is a business owner who's generating revenue from their business but still don't feel as if they're building wealth, that is probably ultimately the key. The key is you have to then find a way to translate those revenues into assets. And there are very, very intelligent ways to do that, which I guess we'll go into now.
Yeah, can you give an example of what you actually mean
Yeah.
by that?
Well, the first one, I would say, is finding ways to build up an asset base through something like a pension. Now, when we mention pension, not many people get really excited about it because we hear pension and we just think about old people. But like we've said many times on the Walk Finance podcast, pensions are one of the most attractive investment vehicles that you can find because of the tax efficiency and because you can compound your wealth over a long period of time. And for business owners, it's even more of an attractive vehicle because business owners that own limited companies can actually make what we call employer contributions towards their pension, and the contribution is seen as a tax deductible item. And so I think this is a very simple and proven way to build wealth also outside of your business. So what you're doing is you're harnessing the revenues that you're generating and now you're allocating it towards a tax efficient vehicle that also allows you to build wealth in a way that's also diversified. And unfortunately, not enough business owners are actually doing this, but it is one of the most simplest way to actually start to feel as if you're actually building wealth because you could see an asset base growing outside of your business.
And I love that like, you're building towards your future, and as you said, you can see it growing month by month or year by year. But Jax, how much more so is important? I mean, we're obviously here in the UK where the majority of people that work a 9 to 5 pensions is almost automated or we're automatically opted in. But for business owners, they have to actually proactively do what you've just said, which again
Absolutely.
is that making that psychological shift, which isn't easy.
It isn't easy at all. You really have to take responsibility. The onus is on you to really almost build this stuff for yourself. Like you said, Peter, here in the UK since April 2012, people have been automatically enrolled into pension schemes if they are employed and fit certain criteria. So if you are a business owner, yes, the onus is on you to build your own benefit system as well. So if we're talking about insurance products, but most definitely pensions is one of those things that you definitely have to think about doing. And I think the key thing here is not even just the tax efficiency that I've mentioned, but actually also the fact that you are diversifying away from your business being your only wealth builder, right? You're diversifying in a way that you can say to me, and I've heard this statement before, and I'm sure Peter, you've heard it before, is people say things like, my business is my pension, or my property is my pension.
Mm.
And actually, one of the best ways to think differently is to diversify that ideology and say, okay, my business could be my wealth building tool, and it's the thing that I can really harness. And that could be plan A. There's nothing wrong with that being your plan A, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with being plan B as well. And having plan B, I suspect, will make you feel as if you're building wealth because you can see a capital base, an asset base actually growing over time.
I love that. I love that. Are there any other assets that one could think of when they're running a business to add to that feeling of actually not feeling poor?
Yeah, yeah, no. Here in the UK, we talk about stocks and shares, ISAs. In America, you got your Roth IRA. In different countries, you have different vehicles that are tax efficient and you can build wealth. Now, I talked about pensions first because it's the most tax efficient and it's great for you to make those employer contributions and see your tax go down while your asset base goes up. Is almost a no-brainer, right? But one thing I would say as well, this is very important, is when we are looking to pull money outside of our business, what you find, again, particularly here in the UK, is that business owners, accountants will guide them towards taking an equal amount to what we call a personal allowance. So what that means is you can take an income from your business, a salary from your business, and not pay any tax, right? And that is what we call your personal allowance. Here in the UK, is £12,570. And then often, if you want to take more money, then your accountant will probably suggest that you take out an amount that's in this tax year equivalent to £37,700. And you would take that as a dividend, and that's because dividends are taxed at a lower rate than other types of taxes. And usually, that combined amount should give you a nice income of around 50k to live off outside of your business. Now, I have come across instances where accountants haven't mentioned dividends at all to their clients, and actually just said, you know what, this year all you need to take out is just a personal allowance, so you pay absolutely no tax at all. What I'm trying to communicate here, and I think where we need to be careful here, is we don't always, and I hear this phrase in the UK all the time, is called "don't let the tax tail wag the dog." And what that means is sometimes we don't just make financial decisions just so we pay less tax. Sometimes actually what's important is that we actually are comfortable paying a bit of tax in order to take money outside of the business, and then to use that money to do things that are valuable. So that could be things that are economically valuable, such as actually investing not just in your pensions now, but now we are investing in your stocks and shares ISA or your Roth IRA, another tax efficient vehicle that allows you to buy assets. And though it's not as tax efficient as pensions, those assets can grow, whether it's through interest, whether it's dividends, or whether it's capital growth. It can grow tax free. And again, now if you talk about the case study of person A who now is putting money into their pensions and harnessing that tax efficiency, and reducing the corporation tax and building a retirement pot for themselves, they can now also build another pot called the stocks and shares ISA. And now, Peter, we start moving into a place where this person now starts to feel as if not only do I have my business that can grow, but now I'm also building a pension pot and building a stocks and shares ISA. These two vehicles are tax efficient, and they are, and it gives you the ability to invest in what we call financial assets. And there is one other thing that I would want to mention, which is home ownership. You sometimes find that some business owners may say that I like the flexibility of moving around, so I would prefer to rent and so on and so forth. And there is a basis to renting over buying a home for some people, but I would suggest and I would encourage people to think about the benefits of home ownership or investing in real estate, which is a different type of asset class. If it's not a home and it's a buy to let, it's less tax efficient. But for a lot of people, they love the fact that they can see it, they can feel it, they can touch it. It's a tangible asset. They can improve it and so on and so forth. So I think, in my humble opinion, for the person that's building a business, the business is successful, and for some reason they feel as if they're not building wealth, I think they need to move away from just the corporate finance, move into their personal finances, build a pension pot, build a stocks and shares ISA, and build a real estate portfolio. And the list goes on. I can keep going on and on and on because there's so many different assets that they can build as well. But I think that's the key.
The key thing that I'm getting from you here is great that you're growing a business, and amazing that you're making, sufficient enough money where you actually say you're making so much money. But there's an element of diversification and not solely. And I don't want to use the word relying, but I'm almost saying that relying just on the business, you need to use it as a vehicle to grow other assets. So you then start to see even the positive outcomes of the business that it's actually helping you to grow wealth in different areas, and you are much more diversified, and you feel there's much more of a buffer outside of your business.
Absolutely, Peter. So I think mechanically, that's the thing that most people can do, and I think that's the solution. But we both know that mechanics is not always the full answer.
Hmm.
So we've given the mechanics, but I think what's really, really important is to really think about our behavior and how we manage money within the business. What could be the case sometimes as well, going back to what you said earlier, Peter, is that sometimes when people have the ability to generate lots of income, sometimes as a lump sum, that can cause them to be a bit, it's the word I'm looking for, a bit, I don't want to use the word irresponsible, but
Mm-mm-mm.
a bit lazy with planning. Let me put it that way, with financial planning, because you know that you can have a gig, or you can, I don't know, have a product that sells a lot, and you can have large sums of money coming in at any moment, right? So we talked about the costs of not being able to kind of manage your money because it doesn't come in, on a consistent basis. But the flip side, that a lot of business owners will tell you is sometimes money comes in chunks, and it's huge, right? And sometimes because we as business owners may know that large sums of money can come in at any moment, we can become reliant on that as well, to use the
Mm.
word that you were mentioning before. So I think there has to be a mindset shift to understand that even if money comes in bulk, what we really want to do is we want to try and manage our money, change our behavior to manage our money, and smooth out ultimately the income stream over the time by being a bit more intentional with our financial planning.
I love that. I love that. I love that, man. So much to unpack there, but definitely a good discussion just to really reflect on what's actually happening here as well. And maybe also some encouragement for those that are thinking about setting up businesses as well. But Jax, I mean, for that individual or those individuals which this applies to right now, any, I guess, final, well, not final, but any extra words of wisdom about what they can be thinking about doing in addition to what we've spoken about?
Yeah, I think, as we speak about the mechanics, we know what we need to do now, which is that to diversify and to be intentional about building asset bases outside of our business. I think that my word of encouragement here is you're already in a position of power by being able to generate income from your business, which most people struggle with. So you were already in a position of power, but it's now time to take it to the next level, and to plan. I think another word of wisdom is don't be overly reliant on your accountant. I think the issue sometimes that many people face is that they don't always understand the difference between an accountant and other financial professionals, such as tax planners or financial planners or wealth managers. Your accountant is not your wealth manager. A good accountant, most good accountants will be in partnership with a good wealth manager, which probably you should benefit from as well. But you can't expect your accountant all the time to be proactive in managing your personal finances, and financially planning for you, though they will probably be more responsible for doing the actual implementation of, let's say, your self-assessment or your corporation tax and that kind of stuff. So there is an onus on you to be practical, and intentional with managing your own money, or if you are someone who wants to outsource that to a professional, I would say do that as well. Seek the advice of professional advisors or wealth managers and so on and so forth. Or even in your business, you can seek the professional services of someone who can help you with cash flow management and so on and so forth. So that's my another word of wisdom I would say, which is don't be afraid to really use the professionals to do the things that you are uncomfortable doing, and actually pay them a fee so that ultimately the outcome is that of a positive one.
I love that. I love that. I love that, man. Very encouraging as well. And for our listeners that yeah, I guess are tuning in now as well. If you have any other thoughts or questions around this topic as well, because yeah, setting up a business, I'm definitely, in favor of having a business of some sort, whether that's a side hustle and you want to turn into business one day, or whatever the weather. But it's not an easy feat for any business owner, right? And so there is going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be times when you do feel like this, where if you're fortunate enough to for your business to become lucrative, you may still feel quite poor, like you're not doing enough. So hopefully this episode has sparked something as well. But Jax, yeah, really, really good to just break it down a bit. Before I let you go, any final words on your side before I let you go?
Yeah, I mean, my final words are that this is a common issue. It's very, very, very common. So if you are someone facing it, you're not by yourself, right? It is a real feeling to be doing well in your business, but not feel as if on a personal level you're doing well. Sometimes people are afraid that they may not do well forever, and so yes, they might have a good year, but they want to make sure that they safeguard and secure their finances in the future. And I'm just here to let you know that it is very much possible. You just do, like we always say in the Work Finance podcast, you do have to be intentional. And today is a great day to start thinking about the things that you can do. And as you continue the journey, it can become even more interesting. Hey, you get to a place where business owners now want to diversify away from not just a pension, not just your stocks and shares ISA or property investments, but actually now they start to buy other businesses. And
Mm.
that's another area that we can touch on. But it's a very exciting area, particularly if you do have the business skills to be able to grow a business, then actually you can use that skill set to acquire other businesses and build those businesses as well. But that's a conversation for another day.
I love it. I love it. These sound like champagne problems to have. So hopefully that's even encouraging as well. Massive congrats that you've got your business to this point so far. And yeah, we definitely are excited about the next part of the journey. And again, hopefully, listening to some of the things we've discussed will help with that as well. But Jax, nah, man, thank you very much for that. Always a pleasure for our listeners. Stay tuned for some of our episodes. We mentioned in the last episode we've got an announcement that we're making very soon, so do stay tuned for that. We're excited to be announcing this, so do stay tuned. And remember all,
Stay
stay woke.